Be friends, put your head on my shoulders. Our friends, still dreaming of the glory of something new. I can't remember what it's like to never want to let go. So good.
Okay, but I
rocket
thought it
the
was
email.
casual.
Yeah, classic
But,
ETOL.
like, casual.
Oh, come on. Seriously? Now?
Okay.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Okay. Well, someone needs to change.
No. I think we all need to change.
Can we just focus for a second here, guys?
Let's go.
Right. Hi, welcome to ETOL Film Night. I'm Harrison.
I'm Becca.
I'm Santana.
And I'm Brad. We'll all be your MCs for this evening.
Okay, but we actually have to deal with this, like right
Yeah,
now.
let's
Like,
deal
right
with
now.
this.
No.
Do we have something laying around
Yeah,
we
I
can
think
distract
so.
them with?
Yeah.
No, we got something.
Yeah?
It's just in the back. The video,
yeah.
Ryan, can you roll that vid?
All right, let's get out of here.
Alrighty, so Moran and Santana had to run back home real quick, but they should be back by intermission, so don't worry. In the meantime, Becca and I couldn't be more stoked to host the first half of ETOL Film Night with all of you.
Before we really jump into things here, if you have not already, this is a wonderful time to please silence your cell phones. But before that, we would like to do a land acknowledgement.
ETOL Film Night is gathering on Treaty 7 land, which is home to the Niitsitapi, or Blackfoot Confederacy, which includes the Sächsische, Piikani, and the Gama. Treaty 7 is also home to the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda First Nations and the Alberta Métis Region 3. The Blackfoot name for this place is Mohkinstsis. Although we are all treaty people, we recognize that there is still work to be done.
We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and the elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on and or are visiting.
What is land acknowledgement?
Those of us that are continuing our oral history are blessed. What we shared, that was told from way back.
We were part of the ecosystem. We were not masters of it.
You know, after we grow up from our biological mothers, the earth becomes our caregiver. Everything that we need is there.
We were raised to believe that everything has a spirit, and that everything around us is alive and has a purpose.
The spirit of the land and our spirit. You can't separate land and people.
In Treaty 7 territory, I'm accepted, I'm something, and I'm with my people.
We honor our ancestors by acknowledging Treaty 7 territory. We acknowledge the Treaty 7 nations, the Piikani First Nation, the Sächsische First Nation, the Kainai First Nation, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, and the Tsuut'ina First Nation. We acknowledge the ancestral territory of the Sächsische, the Blackfoot Confederacy, and the home of Métis Region number 3.
As ETOL and MRU community members, it's our duty and responsibility to care for this land that we all share. For many of us, the activities and adventures we have in these various outdoor spaces are a piece of our identity.
As well, our program is land-based, so it is very important to acknowledge the ancestral lands upon which we both travel and learn. Throughout our evening, we will be acknowledging where each film was made and where the photos of our adventure pics were taken.
Alrighty, moving on. If you did receive one of our programs for the evening, fantastic. If not, we're going to take a quick minute to let you know what you're in for tonight. We have 10 adventure films created by members of the MRU community that span oceans, rivers, and mountains. They showcase what it means to be an ETOL student and captures that feeling only possible when you spend far too long a time with a very small group of people.
After our 10 films, we will have a short intermission where all of you will be able to vote for your favorite film, as well as you'll be able to vote on our adventure contest.
Following our intermission, we'll pass you off to our two other lovely MCs in Moran and Santana, provided that they come back in time from going home to grab their outfits. After that, they'll walk you through our Alumni Film and our feature films. And don't worry, they won't be like this Tolkien trilogy saga. We won't keep you here for that long.
After that, we will announce our winners for our contest and make sure to vote. We'll then have some closing statements and some closing thanks to give, and then we'll be wrapping up.
Alrighty, but real quick, before we get further into the night, we want to actually explain what ETOL is. ETOL is a bachelor's degree offered here at MRU, and it stands for Ecotourism and Outdoor Leadership. This program explores topics such as tourism, of course, but as well ecology, leadership, business, geography, sociology, and what toppings are best when you have to eat nothing but oatmeal for breakfast 7 days in a row.
What sets ETOL apart, however, is the huge focus on experiential learning that students are a part of through their degree. Whether that be going outside for your ecology class or taking a number of different activity courses such as mountain biking or rock climbing, our program is one that integrates you into your learning both physically and mentally. Now, many of you probably know what ETOL Film Night is all about. However, I'm guessing a lot of you have been dragged here by your friends or family and are thinking, what have I gotten myself into?
This night is about showcasing some really cool and creative films that our very own ETOL community has put together. But the film night is more than just films. It's about coming together as a community and sharing in what this beautiful world has to offer.
The theme of this year's film night is what we owe to each other. After 2 long and very distancing years, I think we all owe it to one another to have one great night together.
Alrighty, just before we start showing the films, here's what the film contestants are actually competing for.
For those who, never mind.
What the film contestants
are competing for.
Actually competing for Fantastic. Now, this may just look like a couple pieces of wood with some rocks clumsily put on top of it, but this is the coveted Esker Award.
For those of you, let's go. All right. For those of you who don't know what an esker is, it's a long ridge of gravel and other sediment from melting water from retreating glaciers. Throughout the ETOL program and some of our experiential learning that we talked about earlier, there is a very real possibility that students will get to see an esker in person.
I'm also told that we didn't really have the budget for a tiny gold man the first time this award was given, but eskers are part of the outdoors, and if you kind of mumble the word, it sounds pretty close to Oscars.
Esker?
Yeah, see?
Yeah? On that note, we would like to introduce our first Esker-eligible film of the night.
We would like to acknowledge that the following film was shot on the traditional land of Treaty 7 territory.
For anyone in the ETOL program, one of our most frequently asked questions is, so what do you guys actually do in your program? This is still a university degree, and we do have a lot of academic work, but what sets ETOL apart is what we like to call camp spice. Camp spice is that little bit of extra weirdness that goes along with a community of people that are way too comfortable with each other. Camp spice always leads to hilarious footage, but also lifelong connections with the people on your trips. The first film created by Sierra Vanguard is a collection of footage from the school adventures that she's been on throughout her ETOL experience. At the end of the day, we just want to go out and have a good time in the outdoors, and we really think that this film highlights that perfectly. Here is, yes, this is a degree.
Did Carol can do something?
Yep. I'm of the stuff's not a real thing.
I know.
Bad. Cool.
Don't get me started. There you go.
But it's infinite health.
That's awesome.
Handle those things. Okay.
Welcome to my kitchen.
Look at that rock. That's a nice rock.
Sunscreen exposed on your back. That's okay.
Use it all.
Sure.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Is it on?
Oh, Joseph.
So, while that film shows a bit of the lighthearted side of ETOL and how it's a program where it's not just for the students, Joe Pavelka. Sorry, something caught in the throat. The next film gets into an important piece of our degree, that being expeditions.
We would like to acknowledge that the film was shot in Tofino on the native lands of the Nichano and the Clayoquot people.
Before we jump into our next film, we're going to talk for a moment about expeditions. Within our degree, we have 2 expeditions to complete. These trips are typically about 10 days long and are dedicated towards developing knowledge, appreciation, and a respect for the outdoors. This next film was created by one of our own 4th years, Devin Blind. Her film is about personal growth and highlights her journey from her community in Saskatchewan to our ETOL community and the journey she takes on her sea kayaking expedition in Tofino. Here is From Res to Sea.
Man, this place is pretty. So freaking gorgeous. I am 67 kilometers to Tofino. Man, it's so pretty here. Kind of looks like where they filmed New Moon. One of those Twilight movies. Like that's a, I don't know, that's just how the trees and stuff look. It looks really cool. I ran out of service, so I'm just making little videos on my travels. And yeah, I'll take more pictures and videos later. Alright, so I made it to Tofino. I'm chilling at the ocean and kind of look like a weirdo because I'm talking to myself, but yeah, got all my camp stuff ready. Just chilling. I should show you guys what it looks like. This is my camping area. It's my little tent. That's Camelback that gave me rug burn, some stew. This is the island. That's all our boats. Our kayaks. We have to bring them in because of the tide. Yep. That's everybody else's camp. Kind of getting a cold. Well, I think it's a sinus cold from Cali or Sophie, or it could be just from the ocean. I don't know. But I've got medication for it, just in case. But anyway, this is our little island we're at. So I was really excited to see these whales and sea dogs. I've never, ever seen stuff like this before because I come from the prairies. Sad face. Cue sad song. Okay, no sad songs? Okay. Well, anyway, this is my first time seeing all this stuff, and it's a little scary because my people were hunters, gatherers. We weren't fishermen. Just kidding. My other half of my family is fishermen. And I grew up with gatherers, okay? I grew up with gatherers. That's what I gotta say.
Oh, 1, 2, 3. When you're over there, I found one of the anemones eating the remnants of.
Preshow. Here's the crew. They're gonna do some tipping. Lifesaving. Big joke. So this was my first trip, like actually leaving Saskatchewan and doing an expedition that was this big. I've always done like 5-day or like 6-day hikes, and I've done one canoeing one when I was a teenager, and that was in Grandmother's Bay in northern Saskatchewan. But ever since then, I just knew that I wanted to be outdoors, and I wanted to do outdoor activities and to be able to teach them and to show people what I can do. And I just want to try and give back to other people back home. Show the little res kids back home that there's a big world out there. And they can do it too.
All right, transitioning now from the sea to the snow and heading just a little further up north, we have our next film. We see this film as an ode to flow state, the point between being mentally and physically over-engaged and being too comfortable. Right in between is the space where the actions you're making are almost second nature.
The land this film was shot on has been traditionally occupied by the Champagne, Asiac, as well as the Tlingit First Nations. These groups continue to reside and use the land with care.
Know what's up. One of the really cool things about our program is that it really brings people together from a wide range of locations, all based on our shared value of wanting to learn through and within the outdoors. Or, on the very least, on the shared value of wanting to avoid as many stats and calculus classes as possible. Yeah! Our next film's creator, Ryan Dumke, is from up north in the Yukon. His film showcases a 3-day trip to the Haines, Alaska summit, where his band of hooligans experience some of the best snow and terrain in North America. After 3 years of submitting Skidoo films, this year it is my pleasure to introduce Ryan Dumke and his film Warm, Wet, and Wild.
Wild times. Turning back now from snow to water, we're jumping around the map and going from the Yukon back to Alberta.
We would like to acknowledge that our next film takes place on the traditional land of the Treaty 6 territory.
During this past summer, a group of ETOL students made their way down the North Saskatchewan River for their Expedition 1. We talked before about what an expedition is, but we didn't really get a chance to showcase what an expedition has to offer. Expeditions are not only give you the credits to graduate from ETOL, they also help shape you as a person. During these trips together, students learn how to work and grow individually as well as in a team. Students learn a variety of outdoor skills that can then be carried with them in their day-to-day life. But not only do you come out of these trips with newfound skills, you also come out of them with the most memorable experiences, and not to mention lifelong connections. Here is North Sask Canoe Expedition.
We would like to acknowledge that we traverse through Treaty 6 territory, which is the traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, Stoney, and many other Indigenous peoples, all of whom have navigated this waterway and surrounding lands for centuries. For some on this trip, this is how it started. Well, so to speak. This 8-day journey was one of perseverance and grit. While many of us were unsure of what to expect, we soon found out that traveling via canoe is definitely an activity where you can glide every now and again. Seriously? Glide? We practiced until we finally could say. Okay, get away from the canoe, swim to shore. Got it.
Leaders of the day today? Ah.
We learned how to recover a flipped canoe. Canoe, get away from me! And does he really think I'm trying not to swim to shore? Like, come on, give me a break. I'm swimming. We enjoyed the beauty of the river and the wildlife that lives around it. We practiced that S-turn until finally it just clicked. How in the world do you swim with this paddle? And once everything clicked, you're able to do the jet ferry back to the other side.
I was like, we were right on top of the wave. I was like, whoo-wee.
Hey, finally got a rhythm with this paddle. Now we just gotta keep it going. Or not. Don't have an eddy? Too easy. Let's build one. Ta-da! An eddy! How's all the instructors doing?
Help me.
Hard to complain with the sun.
Help me, please.
Hey, this back kicking is working pretty good.
The back of your boat. The back of your boat.
Look at these guys just wandering by, offering me a ride. I was like, hey, why not? I'll take a ride. I figure I'm almost in Rocky Mountain House, so why not glide the rest of the way? I definitely do know what a big water swim feels like, but as we all found out throughout the week, it comes with the territory of learning how to be one with the river. If this week has taught us anything, it is that perseverance pays off in the way of accomplishment. ETOL is all about experiential learning and individual growth, learning how to grind it out when you just want to give up, leaning on each other for support, and that occasional kick in the butt. This week was all of that and more, and now we are all just
Officially hanging out.
The last line of Lorianne's film, "We're officially hanging out," is a popular ETOL saying that was started by one of our own professors, Paul Jessup. It's become a subtle but sentimental way to end our expeditions and adventures. Our next film showcases an adventure that could only exist out of the circumstances of the summer of 2020.
We would like to acknowledge that the next film was shot within the territories of the Sächsische and Squamish First Nations.
In the summer of 2020, best friends Tegan and Eli had both lost their summer jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Determined to make the most of their summer, they drove from their landlocked home in Calgary, Alberta, to the Sunshine Coast near Vancouver, BC. Over 3 weeks of searching, they bought a small 22-foot sailboat, and with almost no previous sailing experience whatsoever, and with 2 months left of the summer, they took off with one simple plan: go north. The film captures what it means to be an ETOL student because, as we know, no trip goes off without a hitch, but we always make the best of it. Here is Windward.
So, what I was thinking is, like, we could die on this trip, and this shot could still be in the documentary.
Whoa.
Isn't that wacky? Think about that.
That's kind of nuts.
Because this could be like the documentary about how we die. And until the viewer gets to the end of the documentary, they don't know if we make it through this or not.
Yes.
Neither do we. So the first time I sailed was 2 days ago, which means if we buy a boat potentially tomorrow or the day after, that's going to be the second time I've ever sailed.
Good morning. How are you doing? Good. We wanted to give you a call to tell you we really like your boat, so we thought we could offer you $4,000 and see what you think about that.
Could you go to 45?
Yeah, I think we could do 45. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that would be okay.
Okay, great. I guess we have a deal then. We're excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you guys. I think it'll be really good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll see you in about an hour then.
All right, thanks. See you then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye, Robin.
Whoa! We have a boat! We have a boat!
Oh. Hey, buddy, there you go. Pull him. You a little wet?
A little wet!
And we saw this beautiful mother black bear and her cub on shore. And that very night, we drifted over a drop-off. We woke up to our boat sideways, filling with water. And by the afternoon, we were completely shipwrecked. And all of our food which was in the hold in the bottom of the boat, our rice, our beans, it was ruined. So we'd go out every day at low tide and we would spear crabs, and it took us 5 days before we got our boat refloating, and we just lived off of the crabs that we'd spear.
Eli, don't get us into that, but also watch out for his boat. Where? Right in front of us.
That big whirlpool, I was like, oh, damn, if we go into one of those, we could be done. There's
This is everything. There's another. This is the coolest thing. I got that. I got that. Oh my God!
I think a lot of people reserve their dreams for sleeping. This one's one that just had to be lived. And I don't think I'll ever be the same afterwards. I'm forever grateful for that.
Chills.
That looked like a truly wonderful and slightly stressful time. But as we all know with trips, sooner or later, something is bound to go wrong. Our next film looks to focus on addressing some of the emotions that go along with the potential for things to go wrong on a trip.
We would like to acknowledge that this film was shot in Tofino on the native land of the Nuchano and the Claiqua people.
This next film explores some of the harder feelings that go along with adventuring in the outdoors and just life in general. Within ETOL, we are often figuring out how to navigate and learn from fear, whether it be steering over your handlebars at the top of your first mountain biking trail, looking at your laptop screen at 11:57 when you have an essay due at 11:59, preparing for an expedition, or emceeing in front of over 400 people.
Haha, nervous laugh.
Anyways, Sydney takes the time in this next film to explore what fear means to different people in our first sea kayaking expedition with the ETOL program. Well, Sydney, if you ever figure it out, let us know. Here is Fear.
Fear is always present in our everyday lives, haunting our deepest thoughts, relationships, and decision-making processes. According to the dictionary, fear is an unpleasant emotion or thought that you might have when you are frightened or worried by something dangerous, painful, or bad that is happening or might happen. I believe that fear is something much more complicated. Fear is something that we don't and may never fully understand. This became clear to me before and during my expedition. My fears were so paralyzing that I almost did not go. So I used this time on the trip to reflect on the concept of fear.
Stopping me from doing really dumb things. It stops me from also doing some of the things I want to do.
It dictates everything from the activities that I do to daily life.
Be like a motivator, especially working in theater industry. It can give like energy to what I'm doing.
It's nothing that really keeps me up at night, but it's just, kind of just, it's there.
I have learned how to be with it and not let it kind of govern what I do.
I think fear drives me much more than I would probably like to believe.
As a child, there was a lot of, pressure just from like parents and like friends to fit in. A lot of my anxiety has come from that.
I think a lot of it has to do with a feeling of safety or security, or an idea of how I might want things to be, and the worry that those things might go wrong.
It's the unknown. I just think that that's just a normal part of daily existence. Starting a trip is almost like, whether it's in a kayak on a surfboard, when you're at the top of a wave ready to drop down into it, it's almost you feel a tiny little bit sick to your stomach. And it's just this fear and a little bit of excitement. And then once the trip gets going and once you get down a wave, it just gets really exciting and you're just having the best time ever, and then you just want to do it again.
When I'm noticing that I'm like nervous about something, it's often about worrying that I'm doing the wrong thing in some way.
I would say that I'm successful some of the times, and some of the times I'm not successful at it. You know, one of the greatest fears is a fear of failure. So, you know, you go off and you do things and you don't do very well. The only way you're going to get better is to keep doing things, and you have to fail in order to get better.
Start moving in the direction of my fear. I will come to it, cross that bridge, overcome that obstacle, get over my fear. It might take a few times, but at least I get experience and exposure to it. So then later in life, it's easier to deal with.
Trying to do the things that maybe made me scared, and then realizing, hey, maybe they're not so scary.
Being more aware of why I have them. The reality is different from the fear. The fear is something that's it's not here anymore.
I now realize how much I let fear prevent me from thinking rationally, both before and during this trip, especially about the simple things, such as what to pack for breakfast or which wind jacket to bring. When I am overwhelmed about or afraid of doing an activity, I usually behave my way into making sure that I do not have time to go and do it, by procrastinating the things I must get done before I go and do the activity. In the days leading up to this trip, I rarely went a day without crying because I was so overwhelmed. I gave into my fears because it was easier. A quote from the musical Hamilton has stuck with me in regards to these unsettling emotions that I've experienced. The quote is, "Sometimes when you're in so deep, it seems easier to just swim down." It is cliche to say, you cannot let fear control your life. While this may be true, I now believe that we need to think about fear from a completely different lens. If I can leave you with one thought that I have learned while doing these interviews, it's that fear is not something that we are supposed to be afraid of, or desire to surpass and overcome it. Much like summiting a mountain, once you reach the top, you are finished. It is something that we are supposed to be mindful of and okay with, because no matter what, fear will always be present in our lives in one way or another, like that thistle bush that somehow finds roots right in the middle of the trail. The sooner we become okay with that, the sooner fear will lessen and not play as much of a paralyzing and anxiety-inducing role in our lives.
I think we can all say we've felt some sort of fear in the outdoors or in our lives in general. Sydney created this film in order to show everyone that fear does not have to be a deciding factor in your life. This next film coming up shows what can happen when you turn this fear into freedom.
We would like to acknowledge that our next film takes place on the traditional land of Treaty 7 territory.
So this film shows that you don't need to travel far to have an adventure. Sometimes all you have to do is be patient, stay quiet, and look up. Here is a personal note from the film's creator, Fisher Stevenson.
I find that life gets incredibly repetitive when I'm following the same schedule every day, and I need an escape to recharge and make life more worthwhile. When life gets too busy, I take my red lawn chair and my binoculars and I drive to any place where I can find birds, my paradise. I hope that if somebody were to get something out of my film, it would be that life is designed for us to enjoy. So stop working, get outside, and explore your passion.
Here is freedom.
how do you define freedom? I start, spend, and end every day the exact same way. Things change so rarely that every day is predictable. Is this really how I'm going to spend the rest of my life? Trapped in an arbitrary pattern of deadlines and schedules? Absolutely not. God didn't design all of nature and place us in it to work until we're dead. Life is full of adventure and unpredictable surprises that make it worth the living, but I have to go find them. And to do that, I pursue my passion. Let's see if you can figure out what it is. First unpredictable thing. Rain? It's not so bad. If you go inside every time it rains, you're gonna miss out on some pretty neat things. Secondly, if you take a closer look at the common things in life, you might just notice them in a new light. Don't take it all so seriously. Just be patient and allow yourself to be entertained. Go out and find a community. People who share similar interests with you. Find some people that you can learn from. And maybe some people that you can teach. Seek out something new. Let your curiosity guide you. Sometimes the best thing to do is just listen. Wait for it. If you're willing to weather the storm, you might just get to experience the peace that follows it. My point is, we all need some way to escape from life every now and again. It prevents us from getting bored or restless. Whatever you do, make it something you love. And do it often. We all need it. This is my freedom.
The next film focuses back on expeditions and highlights what we believe to be one of the most important parts of not just the whole degree, the people.
We would like to acknowledge that this film was shot on the traditional territories of the Clunana and the Sinsix people.
Hikes can be long and tiring, but in the end, it's the people who you're with that make the trips worth it. This film showcases how special the ETOL community can be. This film features another one of our first expedition choices, that being hiking through the Preshow Mountains. Here's a message from the film's creator, Cassidy.
Picking a theme for my film wasn't hard. When I thought of my trip, almost all my memories were about the people I went with and the fun we had. The days were long and the endless hiking was tiring, but the people always made the trip lively and amazing. When Ian says the people make the trip, it is true. People can either make or break the entire journey. The individuals I went with definitely made the trip a perfect adventure.
Here is the people that make a trip.
Backpacking. Basically putting your life in a bag and going for a very long walk. What's your favorite part about backpacking? Is it the stunning vistas? Is it the ongoing game of keeping your food and yourself safe from marauding bears? Is it getting sweaty and grinding your way up to the top of the ridge hill, or mountaintop? Is it the peaks themselves and a deeper connection to these wild, majestic places, or a curiosity of the myriad of landforms all around you? The glaciers, the moraines, the tarns, the spires, and the ridges. Or is it just the sheer beauty of the area that you are traveling through?
Picking a theme for my film wasn't hard. When I thought about this trip, almost all my memories were about the people I went with and the fun we had together. The days were certainly long, and the endless hiking was tiring, but the people always made the trip lively and amazing. For me, it was the people that made the trip. I am thankful to those who accompanied me on this expedition and for their support, kindness, and learning shown along the way. When Ian says it is the people who make the trip, it is true. The people can either make or break the entire journey. The individuals I went with definitely made this trip a perfect adventure.
Every year, as one of the professors leading the 8-day expedition course for the ETOL program, I need to envision a route that will both challenge and inspire students. I feel I have found this perfect mix in the Purcell Mountains.
I learned so much about my peers, their lives, family, and aspirations. It was wonderful getting to know people I barely knew, let alone having never met them before. For me, the people made this trip unforgettable.
ETOL is nothing but a community, and it's always cool to see when the boundaries of ETOL expand past just your classmates. Our next film shows the extension of ETOL away from expeditions into some good old-fashioned goofing off in the mountains.
We would like to acknowledge that our next film was shot on the traditional land of the Treaty 8 territory.
This film shows all types of shenanigans that our fellow ETOLers love to get up to in their spare time. Some of the best memories are made from flipping canoes, falling down mountains, and attempting crazy ski jumps. Just overall, chaotic memories prove to be the best ones. Now let's watch Justin and his crew create some of their own memories. Here is Life Goes On.
Growing anxiety this morning about the COVID-19 trend in Canada. As we take a look on this Saturday.
Breaking news in Ontario. The province has confirmed 3 new cases of the coronavirus. Jacqueline has.
Peter Piper picks a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper.
Hey, we're live, Silas.
We're on?
We're on.
Oh. Welcome back to Team No Team news station. According to our sources, there's a new pandemic called COVID-19. It's very deadly, and for 2 weeks there will be no school or work. According to the far right, President Biden has something to do with it. Stay safe out there, people. God, I'm happy to be working from home now. Justin? You wanna go skiing? I can't, I gotta go to my girlfriend's house, man, sorry. Bye.
Is that all recording?
What? Later.
I was just joking, man.
Make money, take money, earn crack money, drug money, bail money. Heard they got life for me, how they got life for me when they took that from me. Since I had my nose, yeah.
House full of heroes, soul pounds of zeros. Cocaine my hero, you ain't fake side getting Debo. Always asking what to learn like. Young home still freeload. Don't fly around my signal. I'll rearrange your window. Don't fly around my signal. Don't fly around my signal. Don't fly around my signal. I'll rearrange your window. Could be my house, you look like disciple. Heard that I'm liable. You get the eyeball, aim out the eyeball. I'm getting violent.
Make money, take money, earn crack money, drug money, bail money. Heard they got life for me, how they got life for me when they took that from me. Since I had my nose, yeah.
I was just joking, man. I was just joking, man.
Knock through the condos. Schoolboy from the five dudes. Schoolboy from the five dudes. Schoolboy from the five dudes. Dudes. Knock through the condos. Schoolboy from the five dudes. Schoolboy from the five dudes. Five dudes. Don't fly around my signal. Don't fly around my signal. Don't fly around my signal. I'll rearrange your dinner. Could be my house, you look like disciple. Heard that I'm liable. You get the eyeball, aim out the eyeball. I'm getting violent.
Hey. Schoolboy cute. Man, I ain't gonna never tell you not to rap again. Man.
Make money, take money, earn crack money, drug money, bail money. Heard they got life for me, how they got life for me when they took that from me. Since I had my nose, yeah. Make money, take money, earn crack money, drug money, bail money. Heard they got life for me, how they got life for me when they took that from me. Since I had my nose, yeah.
Justin's film really showcased how you can make the best out of a crazy situation in true ETOL style. Our next film adds on to the theme of life goes on.
We would like to acknowledge that our final film of the evening was shot on the traditional land of the Treaty 11 territory. Our last Oscar-eligible film of this evening is from ETOL alumni Chad Bullock. Here is a message from Chad himself.
I was fortunate enough to be hired by Parks Canada and work Nahanni National Park this past summer. My first experience in Nahanni was in 2019 on my second expedition when my class and I, led by Mr. Joseph Pavalka, paddled the South Nahanni River from Virginia Falls all the way to Blackstone Territorial Park. This summer, as most other tourism destinations, we received below average visitation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This was both unfortunate yet a blessing in disguise. My project this summer became to create as much photo and video content as humanly possible in order to help market Nahanni as a destination for the large tourism boom that is bound to happen if the world ever gets back to any form of normal. I hope you all enjoy the film, and I hope it inspires you to make the trek north to experience Nahanni.
Here is Experience Nahanni. groovy. So that concludes the Esker films that you will be able to vote for tonight. To vote, we will have a huge QR code on the screen behind us, in our lobby, and on our programs. Voting can be accessed through our ETOL community website at www.etolcommunitypage.com. You'll be asked to vote on your favorite film as well as your favorite photo from our adventure photo contest.
These photos can be seen on our slideshow that'll be shown in the concert hall during intermission or on our photo display in the lobby. The voting period will only be during our intermission, so please make a point of voting. If you have any troubles at all, feel free to ask any of the students in the ETOL 2021 shirts or any of our other ETOL staff.
Speaking of which, if you're sitting there thinking, wow, those ETOL shirts sure are cool, I wish I could buy one, I have fantastic news. We do have a merch booth set up in the lobby where you'll be able to see these shirts in person. Orders can be made on the ETOL community page. As well, we have special ETOL Film Night stickers and hacky sacks all set up at our merch table. We have a sticker guest contest, which the winner will be announced later on during the second half of our show.
Lastly, our silent auction prizes are also able to be viewed, and they are all set up on display in our side room, just in the back left as you exit the concert hall doors into the lobby. There's also a door prize set up in the same room with a separate QR code and a small form to fill out. All of the money raised by this evening goes back into the program, into the Allan Derbyshire Student Award, which we will talk about a little bit more later.
But truly, all of you folk in the audience and on our live stream are the reason why we are able to get out there and make such amazing films for you all. So grab your merch, check out our prizes, and absolutely please make sure to vote. That concludes the first half of our evening.
It's been an absolute pleasure emceeing for all of you.
Thank you all so much.
If you don't remember us, I'm Santana.
And I'm Moran.
So glad we made it back in time with half-decent outfits.
We will be hosting the second half of the show. Hey Santana, why don't you fill the crowd in on your ETOL origin story?
So for those of you who don't know, my first film night was when I was 17 years old and I was in high school. I applied for the program and was accepted within 2 months, and here I am now. Hopefully you guys had some time to kick back, grab some refreshments, check out our 6 silent auction prizes, and merch.
How about that logo, Santana?
You mean the one I designed?
Yeah. As an FYI, voting is now closed for the Escar Award and Films and Photo Contest. We'll announce the winners soon, so let's jump right into it.
All right, our first feature film wasn't submitted by ETOL students, but I bet they sure wish they had some ETOL wisdom under their belts for this trip.
Seymour and James created this film from an epic adventure in the Elbe Sandstone Mountains in Sächsische, Schweiz.
Gesundheit, Moran.
Santana, we've been over this 100 times. It's the eastern part, it's in southeast Germany.
My bad.
I think every ETOLer knows what it's like to have a trip go south, but we can all agree that decision making is a very important part of what we learn in this program.
In this film, Seymour and James make some dreadful mistakes that lead to disaster. But overall, the experience will be one that these two will never forget. Here is delirious fun in Mother Nature.
This is my Canadian friend James.
Holy.
He and I decided to go to
Sächsische Schweiz. Wow.
the Elbe Sandstone Mountains in southeast Germany, bordering the Czech Republic. The most striking characteristic of this deeply dissected rocky mountain range is the extraordinary variety of terrain within the smallest area. Unique amongst the Central European uplands are the constant change between plains, ravines, table mountains and rocky regions with undeveloped areas of forest. The variety of different locations, each with its own conditions, has produced an enormous richness of sceneries, unmatched by any other German upland. The occurrence of the sandstones is related to some large-scale deposits of a former sea that was around some 80 million years ago. I've already been here once in my early 20s, and it was just striking to me how something so beautiful could exist in Germany. So for a video project about nature, I decided to come back here and take James with me. He climbed countless mountains before and has the know-how when it comes to a variety of procedures related to biking, hiking, camping and whatnot.
And this is where the adventure begins towards Sächsische Schweiz.
We took the train with our packed bikes to Dresden, which is nearby the mountains, and here we started to ride along the Elbe towards our destination. It was a long ride on perfect bike trails and full of remarkable scenes. But unfortunately, we set up camp way too late at a point where the valley of the Elbe is very narrow and does not offer much more than a little space for a single lane road, some houses that were built up on the slope and the train tracks. So this is where we chose to sleep, or at least tried. So what's up? Just slept in this made up tent It's basically just a bug net for the hammock. Yeah, I'm sleeping inside an anthill, basically, which is not too nice. Like, when we set it up, it was like 3 in the morning. I slept like 4 hours, and I always woke up. The train was passing by way too often. The tracks are right there. Good morning. How did you sleep?
I got some hours at least. So.
The bugs were a bitch to try and deal with, but I finally found the proper method. Carefully down this one. Okay, off to a good start. After our food, we made our way further towards and into the mountains. It was a great day in and of itself, and the forest welcomed us in all of its glory. The lack of quality sleep was not really wearing us down all too much, and we managed to stay fit throughout the day without many hints of exhaustion. The ascent up towards our first destination was quite fun and pretty easy due to the many railings and steps that were previously built into the sandstones. It was a captivating endeavor that people like us can really never get enough of. And after a little while, we finally made it to the much anticipated top. The view was breathtaking, and the weather couldn't have been better. The whole area really felt like a giant playground for adults with its safety measures and easy to follow pathways. We soaked in a good portion of what we could witness here, but there was not a lot of time for enjoyment yet, because the weather report declared rain for the night, and this time we wanted to be better prepared for our much needed sleep. But everything seemed to work out just fine. After scouting the area a little further, we found a gorgeous little spot that was fairly remote from the easier tourist routes. With its white sand and incredible views over the valley, it looked like a paradisal beach in the mountains. So here we chose to set up camp. With a brightened mood and our minds already drifting off, we cooked some really delicious food and let all of our efforts fade away into the dark of the night.
What happened next, though, was nothing that we prepared for. It looked a little like that. It started raining as expected, and James, being still awake, decided to take a much-needed shower in the rain. He enjoyed it, but the rain got stronger quick, so he started to worry a bit about the tarp's stability. I, on the other hand, was already asleep for a little longer than a split second, but started to hear James' concern.
Hey, bro, can you help me out? The wind's a little stronger than I thought. Oh, man.
I wasn't really responsive, but I started experiencing the storm's presence myself. Suddenly, it got really intense and everything fully wet and covered in an obnoxious amount of sand. We were naked and freezing and moved all ourselves as quick as possible to the side of the big rock that we were at, put on some drenched clothes and covered ourselves in the now assembled tarp. So, we are a bit, wet. Yeah! There's a cave on the other side of this hill we should get to. We'll go there and set up camp. Should be doable. You good, James? You're shaking a bit.
Yeah, I'm just shivering. Also, it's a really uncomfortable position to be in. Mostly. Dry enough. Fuck yeah. It's been a conundrum. Thunderstorms, extremely strong thunderstorms began, destroyed the whole setup, ripped the stakes out of the tarp. Everything got wet, including ourselves. I don't know what time it is, but it's dark.
It was an experience, for sure. The taste of sand will never leave my mind.
Oh my god, there's so much sand in my mouth. Everywhere.
Greetings, welcome to my cave network. It is warm and cozy in here. We have spider webs, we have a mouse, we have all the comforts of home, away from home.
Yeah, it was quite a terrible night. Due to the fact that everything, our sleeping bags, clothing and hair, was fully drenched, preserving body temperature seemed almost impossible. Sand was in every corner imaginable, the eyes, ears and mouth, and hard to ignore. But in the morning, the revealing sights over the valley seemed almost like a reward for last night's hardship. But at this point, we decided to end the trip. Everything we had was wet, our thoughts delirious, and our bodies aching after 2 nights of broken sleep and a lot of physical effort. But it seems amazing when reflecting on it how incredibly rare those moments actually became nowadays. We generally lost touch with some of these real difficulties of uncertainty. And I know that we, if at all, just scratch the surface of discomfort, but it just lets you relate a tiny fraction more to the proper difficulties that our ancestors or even people nowadays go through. We came here to have some sort of a hiking holiday, to be in this known and touristy area that is not untouched in any way, but instead got slapped across the face. As James put it,
Mama Nature, she's a powerful one, you know.
It was a short-lived yet wild adventure that definitely taught us a thing or two about how to better prepare for next time. And until then, thanks for watching.
Ciao. We completed the trip. It went...
not as planned.
Not according to plan in the slightest. Was it extremely entertaining? Or entertaining?
It was pretty entertaining.
I'd say so. Never again, but you know.
You learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Wow, nothing makes two friends closer when sharing a sleeping mat, hey?
You're so right, Moran. The challenges we face on trips aren't your standard team building activities.
100%. With these trips, we not only learn from each other, but we grow with each other as well. I think it's time to do some exploring and check out some animals that we share this space with. What do you say, Santana?
Yeah, totally. If you like ecology, you're gonna love this next film. Quinlan McCormick is a Calgary-based artist, musician, and a nature lover. This is her first documentary-style video, and after the number of times it crashed her computer, potentially her last.
Through this film, she follows the story of how we came to learn about one of the most incredible eagle migration patterns in the world. This has led to the creation of the Rocky Mountain Eagle Research Foundation and one of the longest-running citizen science projects in the world.
We would like to acknowledge that this next film takes place on the traditional land of Treaty 7 territory. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to grab your binoculars for this very special film from the Rocky Mountain Eagle Research Foundation.
If you drive about an hour west of Calgary through the prairie and the foothills and into the Kananaskis, and take a short walk from the Troll Falls parking lot through the trembling aspens and pines, you'll find Hay Meadow, nestled between the Fisher Range, the Kananaskis Range, and Mount Lorette. If you're there while the sun is up and in the spring or fall, you'll also find a pair of folks with binoculars glued to their eyes and clipboards at the ready. They are the dedicated observers of one of the largest, longest-running citizen science projects in the world. From sunrise to sunset, in sun or snow, they scan the skies here at the Mount Lorette site for upwards of 12 to 15 hours a day. What are they looking for? Well, hopefully you've brought your binoculars because kilometers high, what looks like tiny specks moving across the sky is actually a golden eagle superhighway. It's a phenomenon that was by and large unknown until 1992, and we have Desmond Allan and Peter Sherrington to thank for its discovery.
I met Peter Sherrington
in the late 60s or 70s. We were doing studies of the natural areas here in Calgary, leading towards getting them saved as natural parks. Later, after we'd done the work and got these places saved in Calgary, I was keen to take up some other areas. And the Alberta government had started a whole lot of about 300 natural areas all around the province. And I applied for the one at Mount Lorette and got it, and started the study. So Peter Sherrington said to me one day, well, how many species have you got, bird species? And I was, I was very proud of the fact I had about 35. And he said, he was really upset. He said, there's at least 250 in there. And so he came in to help.
I was up there with my friend Allan, and we had been spending the previous year going up there at least once a week up to the Mount Lorette area, doing inventories of plants and birds and butterflies and anything else that we could find as a preparation for getting the area protected as a natural area.
We were out there on March the 20th, and Peter was helping me. Well, not helping me, he was doing the birds for me.
And I heard a pine grosbeak singing, so I put my binoculars up to try and see if I could see it, and found it on top of a tree. And but a little dot just beyond it in the sky proved to be a golden eagle.
I didn't see it, Peter saw it. He said, that's golden eagle.
About an hour later, we looked up and we saw a couple of golden eagles.
We didn't think too much about it until we sat down at lunch, and we had lunch in the river valley there, sitting on a log, looked up at Mount Lorette, and there were 3 eagles up there.
This is very abnormal for resident birds. If 2 birds are company and 3 birds are feathers flying all over the place as one of them gets chased out. But these birds rose over Mount Lorette, and then they started gliding high to the northwest and out of sight. We thought, well, that's pretty interesting.
So we started counting, and we saw over 100 that day.
2 days later, Peter returned to Mount Lorette and counted 250 golden eagles. And so the count was on. That fall, the first official count takes place at the Mount Lorette site. Observers record 2,043 golden eagles. Prior to this, the prevailing theory was that if there was any migration, it was short, small, 4 to 9 pairs, and took place over the foothills. They had been looking in the wrong place, a mistake Peter did not want to repeat. And so the count began to expand to different sites. Observing the eagle's flight helped map the migration and fine-tune the count.
Every time we looked up there, we saw golden eagles moving at ridge level or slightly above ridge level, moving to the end, soaring high over the northern end of the Fisher Range, crossing over the valley to Mount Lorette, soaring again, and then moving off to the northwest, and just following the geological trend of the mountains. And
if the wind most of the prevailing wind is coming from the southwest, and it hits these ridges, and the eagles like to ride just along there. They sail. If they can possibly do it without flapping, they do.
Now designated the Rocky Mountain Eagle Research Foundation, or RMERF, and knowing that the eagles like to use the mountain ridges as a thermal-powered highway, observers begin to test different locations looking for the best place to count, for Eagle El Dorado. At the South Livingstone site, they strike gold. Here, numerous mountain ranges to the north and south all merge into one lane, the Eagle Highway. The fall 2007 count at South Livingstone totaled nearly 5,500 golden eagles and thousands of other raptors. These counts have helped turn what was a relatively unknown phenomenon into a significant source of information about golden eagles and the environments they live in. We now know their route. Many migrate up to 5,000 kilometers from the southern United States or Mexico along the Rocky Mountains up to their breeding grounds in Alaska. Their nearly 8-foot wingspan makes light work of the distance as they glide at speeds of up to 100 kilometers an hour. Since other golden eagles do not migrate, the reason for the journey is not entirely clear. One theory is that the migration has occurred since the Ice Age, when much of Canada and parts of the U.S. were covered in glaciers, but Alaska remained open, meaning there was vegetation and therefore hares and other prey to be found there. Nowadays, if food is plentiful and all goes according to plan, a pair will lay 2 eggs, only one of which is likely to survive. Examining the differences between spring and fall counts can illustrate how successful a breeding season was. Comparing those fall counts with the following spring will reveal how well the raptors fared over the winter. These insights are thanks to close to 100,000 hours of meticulously logged observations by citizen scientists.
One of the remarkable things is that we have spent up to now 29 years at exactly the same site. And it could sound a little boring, just turning up at first light and standing in the same place and watching the world go by. But in fact, it's quite fascinating, and it's a testament to the interest in the results that we're finding, is that some of our observers have been with the program. Some first went up there in the fall of 1992. People like Bill Wilson and George Halmasner, and they're still out there counting. And because we are using standard protocols, we stand in the same place, we all collect the same data, we're using the same criteria to age birds, the cumulative data set is incredibly valuable. It's one of the longest running continuous bird surveys anywhere in North America. And it gets more and more interesting because there's a context for it. If you just went out and saw one lot of birds, you say, well, that was interesting, but it would be meaningless. But the more you watch, the more you have a context for what is happening.
And this context reveals some worrying trends.
We've noticed a serious decline, maybe up to 40% decline in the population since we started observing. We often suspected that climate change was involved in determining the numbers and the dynamic. We certainly quite early on realized that the birds were moving earlier in the spring.
Loss of habitat in the southern wintering grounds, industrial agriculture, and poaching are also likely causes of the declining numbers. In addition, extreme weather caused by climate change makes the migration increasingly treacherous. Golden eagles are an indicator species, meaning that when we study them, they can reveal our impact on the environment. This is why, entering its 30th year, the Rocky Mountain Eagle Research Foundation remains so important.
We have envisaged this as a 50-year research project. The more we count, the more interesting it becomes. And it's not just the raw numbers, but it's the ratio of immature birds to adult birds, and we can correlate that to the snowshoe hare cycle. We also record everything that comes along, including human beings that turn up at the site. They have a little slot as well. And we're trying to correlate the number of human beings that occur at the site with ambient weather conditions, and I think it has something to do with temperature, but we're still trying to work on a mathematical model to prove that. Well, it's the most marvelous place to be because it's reality, and these days reality is a very rare commodity. just being out there, being blown off one's feet at over with 200 km/h winds, flying beautifully for several seconds and landing abominably. You never know what's going to happen. It's not a zoo. You never know when some strange thing will happen, or you see a sharp-shinned hawk suddenly hunting, or a merlin hunting right in front of you, or you get a day of 800 birds when just coming out of the blue. You never know. Every day is a tabula rasa. You start again.
And I don't know why you do it. You go out and sit there all day from dawn till dark, but it's absolutely fascinating. And it just gets you, and you continue doing it. Even if it's 25 below and it's your turn, you're out there.
And our curiosity, and that's the only reason I started studying the eagles. I said, this is interesting. And I think that's the only reason we should do anything, is that we find it interesting.
Moran, do you see that?
Jinkies! Yeah! I think there's finally someone cooler than Ian Sherrington. It's his dad, Peter Sherrington.
It's really crazy to see how far our ETOL community branches reach, and what an interesting film.
Who knew that one of the world's most insane eagle migrations happens right here in our backyard?
Speaking about spreading your wings, have you heard what the ETOL alumni have been up to lately?
Yeah, I've heard that they've been up to some pretty rad stuff. How about we get all these folks up to speed, huh?
Sounds like a great idea. This next film, shot on Treaty 7 territory, features some incredible alumni who graduated from the ETOL program. In this film, we showcase Jesse Benton, owner and operator of Gear Trade, a local business based out of Okotoks that I know many of us ETOLers have supported, and
Nadia graduated in 2008 and has since pursued a career as a helicopter pilot and a flight instructor. She has had some pretty sweet opportunities with flying and in life in general.
Moran and I actually had the pleasure of putting this film together with some of our peers. With this film, we hope to showcase our amazing alumni and where they've taken their ETOL spirits throughout the years. Enjoy!
Life can be a lot like ascending a slope of loose scree, a whole load of work and many times tedious. But when you glance behind you every now and then, you start to realize what you've achieved. One thing is for certain, these vistas that ETOL alumni create for themselves or fall into are diverse and inspiring. You just have to keep your feet moving and pick your line.
name is Jesse Heventon. I'm the owner and operator of a business called geartrade.ca. I graduated from the Applied Bachelor's degree of Ecotourism and Outdoor Leadership in 2015. Yeah. So I was thinking about this, and I was chatting with you guys a little bit about this too. I think that the biggest thing that you can do while you're in the degree is network as much as you possibly can. And you won't realize it until after you graduate, but the outdoor industry is really, really big, but can be really, really small sometimes. And the amount of times that I've reached out to friends or, applied for a job and knew somebody in the outdoor industry or from ETOL it's like almost every time I've gotten a job, it's been through, a friend of a friend or a friend directly. So there's a quote where luck is where preparedness meets opportunity. And I think that's exactly what kind of happened in my situation. So I was already running a business, building custom fly fishing rods and dabbling as an entrepreneur. And I had a family friend who ran Gear Trade, and he wanted to retire. And so he offered me the business. And so I purchased it about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And since then we've grown the business substantially. But yeah, it was just kind of like I was already dabbling as being an entrepreneur, and this opportunity kind of popped up and I jumped on it. So I was thinking a lot about this, and I think the success to me is the first and foremost thing is being happy with what you're doing and being content. And second to that, or actually I would say on the same bar as that, would be giving back to your community and yeah, just like being involved with your community. And yeah, so it's being happy with what you're doing and then also giving back to society and giving back to your community on equal parts, I think, are the two most important things. COVID has been the most interesting thing for me to watch, being from the outdoor industry. So the biggest trend in the last 2 years, I would say, is there is a astronomical amount of people who have never been in the outdoors or gone camping or gone hiking, entering into that sector. So I have seen in the last 2 years, tons of families come through that are going camping for the first time, or, they're going to Banff, whatever it is, going to K-Country. So that's probably the biggest trend I've seen in the last 2 years. And then I would say for the people who have already been in the outdoor industry, prior to COVID, I would say the biggest trend is people moving fast and lighter. So ultralight tents, ultralight backpacks, minimalist style, I think is like the most growing part of outdoor retail. That's a really good question. I don't know, to be honest. We are in this this stage right now where we've grown so much in the last couple of years, and we are trying to figure out what our 3-year plan is, what our 5-year plan is, what our 10-year plan is, and we actually don't know right now. Whether it's to take it out of a little shop like this and move it into something bigger, to bring on somebody because it's kind of like at that point where it's too much for one person. So we're just trying to figure it out, but to be honest, I don't know, and we're working on that. So given that it's just my wife and I think the hardest part about what I do and being an entrepreneur and owning a business is I literally do everything. I do everything from shipping and receiving, to booking appointments, to answering the phone calls, to answering emails, to updating the website, to packing orders and sending them out. It's literally like every single, the books, like every single part of the business is realistically ran by 2 people. And I think that's the hardest part of becoming the owner of Gear Trade and becoming an entrepreneur is ETOL sets you up for a little bit of this through some of their classes, but you really get thrown into the deep end, and you need to know how to apply for permits, and there's so many different elements of it. Every year, not every year, this is the 2nd year that we've done it. We do a annual Advent box, outdoor themed Advent box for charity. And so last year we did one. We raised a couple $1,000s for a charity in Okotoks, And this year we're doing another one, and we've decided to donate our funds to Rocky Mountain Adaptive, which is a adaptive outdoor programming facility in Canmore that helps people who face barriers to the outdoors get outside. And then we're also going to donate some charity or some proceeds to the Children's Hospital. And so so we're working right now on these advent boxes. There's like 24 items that go into each box, and then the person gets to open up each bag every day throughout December up until Christmas, which is really cool. And then there's things like, you know, titanium sporks and paracord and, you know, a bunch of different outdoor themed items. So a large portion of my job is also finding products that are available for a lot cheaper than brand name products that are really identical in a lot of cases. So here's a really good example. So here's your like $140 Jetboil. This is actually mine. I own it. I've sold them in the past as well. I actually think that these clones are a better product, and they're about a third of the price. And so really, if you want to get into it, this is like kind of large and it's kind of tippy, really tall and kind of tippy. I also don't like the handle because it boils over and it'll burn your hand, versus these little knockoff stoves are identical. They boil at the identical speed. I've tested them out side by side. They've got handles that you can actually keep your hand away from the pot, and they're a lot more stable. So again, a large portion of my job is finding these products that aren't brand name, but are the same quality, the same, you know, function, the same specs in a lot of cases, but are just offered at a substantially lower cost. And yeah, that's a huge part of what I offer is a mix of both brand name and that knockoff stuff. So my website is geartrade.ca. And on there you can find a whole variety of different products, from brand names like Osprey and Gregory and Deuter and you know, Kelty and Climate and whatever, to a lot of you know, clones of stuff or brands that I've brought in, you know, and branded. There's sleeping pads, water filters, you know, backpacks, tents, stoves, dehydrated food or freeze-dried food. Basically, you think about MEC in just a smaller operation of that. Basically I outfit, you know, 500 people to do the West Coast Trail every year, so I kind of offer a little bit of everything. So.
Welcome to Nahanni Helicopters.
My name's Nadia Bossman, and I'm a helicopter pilot. I work as a flight instructor at Mountain View Helicopters and also for Alpine Helicopters as a ski support and firefighter in the summer. Flying is not something I thought about doing when I started the program. I started ETOL right after high school, and when was that? 2004, I think. 2004, graduated 2008. And then I didn't start a helicopter license until 2009. Well, I had a few different jobs that had some helicopter work. I worked at a backcountry lodge just outside of Golden as an assistant hiking guide. That was part of a practicum for ETOL. I tree planted one season, and I just had some other random interactions with helicopters along the way. And I always enjoyed chatting with the pilots and figuring out what their job entailed. And that sparked some interest, and I liked the idea of being able to access remote places that I wouldn't otherwise be able to get to. So getting my license seemed like a good way to be able to do that. Teaching someone to fly is really intimidating at first. I think I learned more than my students did in the first 500 hours of instructing. It's a pretty cool way to see somebody go from knowing nothing and being able to fly at the end. What I realized as an instructor is sometimes you're just there so that they don't kill themselves, and you wait for them to figure it out. Success to me looks like doing something that you're passionate about, that makes you happy. What has made me successful so far, I think there's a lot more to still be successful, but I think some of the things that I feel make me successful or have made me successful so far is being driven by the bigger outcome, and I think there's a lot more still to accomplish in my career and a lot more success to be had, but seeing the bigger picture and getting excited about the process of getting there, I think that's the goal. I think for me, my helicopter flying has allowed me to work in different industries that relate to ETOL. And the thing that I like about that is that I've had the opportunity to be part of what my customers are part of. I've flown some glaciologists and microbiologists in the Arctic, and it's really exciting to be able to be a part of what they do and learn about what they're studying, environmental work, reclamation work in the oil sands, firefighting, or wildfire fighting, I guess, and perhaps not very much ETOL related, but it's the outdoors that interests me, it's the environment that interests me, and it's the ability to work with different people and be a little bit part of all those different industries that I wouldn't otherwise be able to get to or access. Well, right now I am working for a heli ski company in the wintertime, and ideally I would like to continue to progress with them. Right now I'm doing ski support, so I fly a snow safety guide around and do some avalanche bombing and hang around while they dig snow pits and do some snow assessment and that kind of stuff. I fly lunches out and meet up with guests who are having a great time skiing. And then in the summertime, it's firefighting, but there's a lot more in the industry that I would like to pursue. I'm in the process of studying for my FAA, which is my American license, to open up some more doors and opportunities there. So I don't know, there's a lot more that can happen. Search and rescue is an opportunity as well, and I think I'd like to keep my options open. I think it's good to be open to different opportunities. That's kind of what happened in ETOL anyways. I had an idea of what I wanted to do when I started ETOL, and this theme about the helicopters just sort of kept showing up, and I think that's what allowed different opportunities and doors to open up, and that's why I am where I am now, I guess. I think probably exactly that, is to be open to different opportunities that come up, and I think it's really important to be goal-oriented and to have an idea of what you want to do, but I think that there's opportunities that could be missed or doors that could stay closed if you're not open-minded about some things that come across your path. As part of one of the field schools, we went to Baffin Island with Ian Sherrington, and that was also a pivotal moment in me doing this. It wasn't necessarily anything helicopter related, but the Arctic has always really inspired me and interested me, and I've realized that when I was talking with different pilots as I was going through the ETOL program and just the different interactions and opportunities, that I wouldn't be able to get to those places otherwise, and that was one of the things that sparked interest in just going remote places and going into the Arctic, and I've been lucky enough to do that as a pilot as well. So that definitely steered some of the direction for sure. But I had a lot of good times in ETOL that I don't even think I could talk about on camera.
Soundstripe.
so amazing to see what our inspiring alumni are up to these days.
Yeah, how cool is it that we get to be a part of this amazing community and join the alumni chapter when we graduate this spring, hey?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's calm down here. Let's just live in the moment, all right?
Okay, you're right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. One more year, maybe?
Okay, sounds like a plan. Let's do it. Speaking of alumni, keep your eyes peeled for them in this next film.
This film is a short feature from one of our sponsors, Gila Ventures. Gila has been a generous sponsor and supporter of the ETOL program for years, supporting us for events like this, assisting with expeditions, and hosting students to complete their practicum requirements. Gila is a prime example of an organization that continues to give back to the outdoor community.
Located just west of Rocky Mountain House, they host adventures and training of all kinds. While we could go on for ages, I think it's just best we just show you what they're all about.
Wow, it's so neat to see what kind of opportunities ETOL students have for their practicums and jobs after graduation.
Thank you so much, Gila, for not only supporting us tonight at this event, but supporting students throughout the years and being a role model organization in the outdoor industry. Gila is one of our amazing sponsors, and we would like to acknowledge tonight.
Before we announce our winners for the sticker jar, photo contest, and escrow award, we would like to give a huge shout out and thank you to the sponsors of this year's ETOL Film Fest. Are you ready for this, Moran?
Let's get it!
The Establishment Brewing Co.
Citizen Brewing Co.
Kananaskis Outfitters.
Calgary Climbing Center.
GearTrade.ca.
Company of Adventures.
Legend 7 Brewing.
Patagonia.
Adenac Adventures.
Atlas Coal Mine.
Wildlife Distillery.
Rocky Mountain Soap Co.
Canmore Cave Tours.
Rocky Mountain Adventure Med.
Boulder.
Riders on Board.
True Booch.
The Bike Shop.
Ski Cellar.
Eau Claire Distillery.
Camp Brand Goods.
Boogie's Burgers.
Cabinet Doctor.
Ram Canyon.
Cold Garden.
Devil's Head Coffee.
Gila Ventures.
The Norseman.
Arc'teryx Alberta.
Famoso Pizza.
Emin Kels.
Embroidery by Becca.
Laura Griffin.
Maggie Quant.
Olives Auction.
And Switching Gear Calgary.
This year, we hit a record number of donations, with our silent auction value being over $10,000.
So we wouldn't be able to have this night without you guys, and we appreciate everything you have done for us.
So let's please have a huge, huge, huge round of applause for all of our sponsors tonight. It's truly incredible how much support we get in this program.
Yeah, not only do we have such an amazing support from local businesses, but we also want to recognize people in our community that go above and beyond.
Zach Smith, who runs the ETOL community page, has been a huge help on the tech side of things. We'd also like to thank the team of communications students and professors that donated their time and expertise to this evening.
Yeah.
And we'd also like to acknowledge and say a special thank you to the honored guests that have joined us this evening.
There is one more person that we would like to acknowledge, which brings us to the Friends of ETOL Award.
The Friends of ETOL Award is hand-selected by the fourth-year leadership class and the ETOL faculty every year. And like Moran said, it's presented to the individual that has gone above and beyond for the ETOL community.
We would like to welcome ETOL coordinator and professor Ian Sherrington and our fourth-year peer Erin Fowler to the stage to present this award.
It's nice to have the mask off. That's why I came up here. I can breathe. Dad, if you're still watching, I just want to let you know I saw 15 cedar waxwings at 10:30 this morning. So it brings me great pleasure to introduce the 2021 Friend of ETOL Award to Lori Toma. Lori has been an integral part of our community for 20 years. Hard to believe, but 20 years. After graduating from ETOL in 2004, she did a 2-year stint with Indigenous youth in Cold Lake, Alberta. And then she returned to Mount Royal. And for the years that she worked with us and closely with the ETOL program, she wore many hats. She was first the academic advisor, then a practicum coordinator, and then finally she was a lecturer for our program. Always intent on lifelong learning, she completed her master's in environmental education and communication in 2010 and a certificate as a forest and natural school practitioner in 2016. Throughout this time, she kept close ties with our program, providing support where she could, and even after 3 babies came into her life. Pretty amazing. I also have my personal reasons for supporting Lori as our 2021 Friend of ETOL. There is a little known fact that we actually share a birthday. She invited my wife and I to her wedding. That's something. And she also holds the incredible distinction of being the first person to babysit my children. In 2004, at the base of a climbing crag in Red Rocks, Nevada. And I'm just wondering if that defining moment perhaps set her on her future career path as the owner and operator of a forest school in Cochrane. And to discuss this next chapter, I'm going to hand off to Erin Fowler to talk about it. Thank you.
So after Lori got her Forest and Nature School practitioner in 2016, as Ian was saying, she opened Growing Roots Forest Play in Cochrane. In the beginning, they hosted 8 kids 1 morning a week. Now, Growing Roots has become a staple in the community with over 200 available spots and 10 staff. I am lucky enough to be one of those staff members and have been able to see the positive impacts of the organization firsthand. I began as a practicum student in the spring and am now one of 3 ETOL students or alumni employed with Growing Roots. Lori and her team have hosted countless HPED practicum students and continue to make beneficial contribution to the wider ETOL community. It is with great pleasure that I invite Lori to the stage to accept this award.
I'm putting on my mask because I'm expecting a hug.
Thank you so much, Ian and Aaron, for presenting Lori with the Friends of ETOL Award. And a huge thank you to Lori Toma, who has contributed so much to the ETOL community.
Next up, we would like to talk about an award that has been created for ETOL students to help fund individual graduation requirements, including wilderness first aid, expeditions, and advanced certifications in such areas as guiding and instruction.
We like to call this the Allan Derbyshire Award.
Every dollar that you have spent tonight, whether it's been spent on tickets, silent auction items, or merch, has been put directly towards making this night happen and building the Allan Derbyshire Award Fund. All the proceeds from tonight provide financial support to help ETOL students achieve their non-academic graduation requirements.
We'd love to tell you a little bit about Allan himself. He started teaching at Mount Royal in the late 1970s, and then pioneered the Outdoor Pursuits Diploma in 1990, which then morphed into the ETOL Applied Degree Program in 2000. While Allan retired in 2010, he's remained heavily involved with the ETOL community and was bestowed the title of Professor Emeritus by Mount Royal University this year, an incredible honor.
This award has been named after Allan to honor everything he has done to make ETOL a reality. We are so happy to have him here with us today to celebrate this evening. The legacy Allan has left with ETOL is no small feat, so let's hear it for the man, the myth, the legend, Allan Derbyshire.
Okay, now that we've started talking about awards, I think it's time for some prizes.
Woo! First things first, the sticker jar.
We saw you mulling over the table in the lobby, conspiring and putting your brains together to figure out how many stickers are really in that jar.
Yeah, so there was a lot of you that guessed 420. So the actual number was 424.
However,
our winner was slightly off, but we got 420.69. Wrong award, wrong award. Oh.
Let's get to this. You have the sheet?
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have our photo contest winner. You all had a chance during intermission to vote for your favorite photo, and the count is in.
The winner of this year's photo contest is Xavier with his photo Mountain Goat. Woo!
Xavier, if you're here, you can come up to the stage to claim your prize. I don't know if he's here. Are you out there?
Xavier, are you here? Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. We'll get that one to him later. All right. Now for what you've all been waiting for, the Esker Award.
After close consideration, you all got a chance to vote on who you thought should win the 2021 Ecotourism and Outdoor Leadership Film Night Esker Award. The winners of this year's award get to keep it till next year's film night. Before we announce our winner, we'd like to give a huge thanks to everyone who entered. This evening truly couldn't happen without our filmmakers, so let's hear it from them.
Once we announce the winner, if you could come up and claim your prize. It's been so cool to see what everyone has gotten up to this year and where your adventures have taken you. So without further ado, could we get a drum roll, please?
The winner of the 2021
ETOL Film Night Esker Award is Windward by Tegan!
While I'm here, I think it's only fair that I gotta thank Eli Chapman for being on the film with me and on the boat, because he should be standing here next to me. Unfortunately, he's at school in BC, but he is watching on the live stream. So, hi Eli. Thanks so much.
Amazing.
This one?
Before we wrap up, we would like to invite our entire fourth-year leadership class up to the stage so you can all get a good look at everyone who made this happen.
Come on up, guys. Could you line Before we let you all out of here, we have a few more final announcements.
From the entire class and ETOL community, we would love to give our sincerest thank you for coming out tonight and supporting what we do in the outdoors.
It really is all of you and your support that allow us to do what we do.
If you haven't heard yet, the official after party is taking place at Westgate Social right now. It's just right across campus, and we hope to see all you guys there.
Guess that's a wrap. In the wise words of Paul Jessup,
we're officially hanging out!
I guess
that's it, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Here.